Your Steve Jones Show podcast will start shortly. The Steve Jones Show podcast is sponsored by Brewers Outlet, your beverage supermarket on Reagan Street in Sunbury.
Great to be joined by the outstanding Reuben Frank. Rube, how you been?
How's it going?
Going great, and I want to start with this guy, and that is T.J. Edwards. We never talk about T.J. Edwards, at least on this show we really haven't. I know I haven't asked you about him either. When I saw him play against Penn State at Wisconsin, I thought this guy's going to be terrific, and Jack Ham was big on him as well. What kind of season has he now put together as a veteran in this defense?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I was an All-Pro voter this year, and I actually gave TJ a second-team All-Pro vote as an off-ball linebacker. He's been that good. And it's really been something to watch. He was undrafted out of Wisconsin and started out as a special teamer and started playing a little more. And over the past year, he got faster. He got into much better shape than he's ever been in before, and it really showed. And he's always been physical. He's always been good against the run, but he became a really good cover linebacker this year and an effective blitzer as well. So he's the whole package. He's unsigned after this year, and whether it's here or somewhere else, he's going to get a significant pay raise over that undrafted rookie contract. He's had a terrific year.
Rube, I'll ask you about another guy that would be under the radar as well. He started his career at Penn State, really liked him, and then he transferred and got drafted by the Steelers. That's Zach McPherson. What kind of special teams ace has he been for Nick Sirianni this season?
Yeah, he's been really good. He's been, special teams has been up and down for the Eagles, but Zach has been he's been terrific. Jim Johnson, who was the legendary defensive coordinator here from 99 to 08, he would always look for guys, defensive players who were stars on special teams, thinking that their ability could had a chance to cross over into defense. And like guys like Quentin Michael, he became an all Pro Bowl safety. Started out playing special teams for 5 years, another undrafted type of guy. And I think Zach kind of falls into that category where you can see he's physical, he's fast, he's instinctive, he's smart. And if you have those qualities on special teams, there's a good chance that you could have him on defense. And obviously James Bradbury is another unsigned guy after this year who made the second team All-Pro today. So it's easy to think that Zach's going to have a chance to at least compete for a starting cornerback job next year. And based on the way he plays on special teams, I would say he's got a chance to be a pretty good cornerback.
If Jack Ham mentioned Jim Johnson's name once to me, but probably mentioned it to me 25 times when he was the Eagles defensive coordinator. So that's how highly he thought of Jim Johnson.
Yeah.
I've got to ask you now about a couple of other guys. Lane Johnson evidently was on a side field doing some pass block work with one of the trainers. How positively should Eagle fans view that development?
Lane actually practiced today, and I just talked to Lane about 2 hours ago, and he's really encouraged by where he is now. I mean, he's trying to play with a torn muscle in his groin, and then he needs surgery, and he's gonna get surgery as soon as the season's over. But he's been rehabbing since he got hurt Christmas Eve in Dallas, and he feels pretty good. He feels like he can do this, and it's going to be a matter of pain management and his ability to anchor and generate power with a core muscle injury, which isn't easy. But he said he felt pretty good after taking some reps today, and he'll go a little harder next week, and then Thursday he's going to be full go against the Eagles. Have some pretty good edge rushers, Josh Sweat and Brandon Graham and Son Reddick.
Yeah.
So he's really encouraged with where he is, and he's talked to some other NFL players who've had this injury and played through it, and it would be 3 games at the max. And he said it's all about rehabbing. He said he feels a lot better than he did 3 weeks ago. And look, what he's trying to do is not easy, but if anyone can pull it off, it's Lane Johnson.
What message does it send to a locker room when a guy like that is trying to do this?
Yeah, and I think that's a veteran. That's a 30-year-old guy who's a 2-time All-Pro now. And when younger guys see somebody, gutting it out like that, yeah, I mean it you're not gonna take a rep off if you have a sore leg or something. So I think that's what leadership really is. It's not the rah stuff. It's playing through pain, doing everything you can for the team. And he said, if I didn't feel like we had a chance to win the Super Bowl, I'm not sure I would do this. But a couple times in your career, you feel like you have a team that can make a deep run, and I want to do everything I can for the team. I want to be there for my teammates, and to me, that's what a leader really is.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. Well put. You mentioned Reddick in a previous answer. They picked him up in the offseason. Roob, was he everything the Eagles could hope for?
Yeah, and more. I mean, this is a guy. I actually just talked to Hassan this afternoon too in the locker room, and he made second-team All-Pro as well. And this is a guy that he made the Pro Bowl, his first Pro Bowl, career-high 16 sacks. This is a guy who was seen as a first-round bust early in his career in Arizona. What do you have, 7.5 sacks his first 3 years? Yeah. And he just talked about dealing with that label and just keep working. And it sometimes just takes time to learn how to play in the NFL. And he's been phenomenal. It's not just the sacks, but I think he's led the league with 5 forced fumbles. He actually was pretty good dropping back when he was asked to, and really complete player. Another great leader, and really this D-line had the third highest sack total in history, and he was he was behind so much of that, not just when he got a sack, but by taking double teams and opening up holes for other guys. He's better than I thought, and he's had some good years before, but he was special this year. There's a short list of really elite Eagles edge rushers, starting with Reggie and Clyde, and Dennis Harrison, Trent Cole, Hugh Douglas, and William Fuller later in their careers. But he's as good as anyone I've seen since Clyde and Reggie.
That says a lot when you say something like that. Jalen Hurts played hurt against the Giants. He got through it.
Yeah.
Is there any indication from other guys as to truly how much pain he's in? I guess he can't injure it any more than he has, but there's a pain tolerance.
Yeah, I think it's pain tolerance and just range of motion, and just how much spring he has in his throws. We talked to him, for 12 minutes yesterday, and he just wouldn't let on at anything. He just, those Alabama guys, they don't really like to tell you much.
That's right.
That's
they become experts at it. They become experts at it down there.
What's that?
They become experts at that down there.
They really do. They really do. But and it's funny because all the Alabama guys are so guarded, and he's a really nice kid, but he won't tell you a thing. So it's hard to tell. He's not 100%. He most likely won't be 100%. So it's just a matter of, with 2 more weeks. And look, they really dumbed down the offense in the Giants game. It was just a matter of doing the minimum and getting out of there with a win, whatever the score was, just getting through it. So he wasn't running. They weren't calling a lot of RPOs. It was just kind of try to get through this thing and get the bye. So he's got 2 more weeks to rehab. He threw today, which he didn't do yesterday, so that's encouraging. And he was out there with the other quarterbacks, and he looks fine throwing the ball, but that's practice. So I don't think anyone really knows where he'll be a week from Sunday or Saturday, whenever they play. He'll be, I would think, healthier than he was against the Jets, but not quite where he was before the injury. It's just where in that range is he going to fall, and I don't think anyone really knows. But I'll tell you what, they need him to have his full arsenal of abilities or close to it, because so much of this offense just depends on the threat of him being able to do anything at any time. And without that, then you get a game like that against the Giants.
Well, the plus of having the number 1 overall seed is you don't have to play this weekend. And the next plus is every game that you'll play will be at home until you get to the Super Bowl. The only negative is you don't know who you're going to play. So how has Nick gone about his business with this team in terms of practicing without knowing the opponent to then changing over next week to knowing who is the opponent?
Right. Well, they practiced Thursday and Friday, yesterday and today, and the practices were really geared toward fundamentals as opposed to install. because, like you said, you don't know what you're going to install. So they really focused on fundamentals and a lot of individual stuff and just sharpening and staying sharp and staying fresh. And, they have an assistant, like a quality control guy, doing early work on each of the 4 teams that they could face. So, once they know who they're playing, which could be Sunday, could be Monday, we don't know. Once they know, then that coach will present what he has and, on the early work. Now they've played, obviously they've played Dallas twice. They haven't played Seattle since Sirianni has been here. They played Tampa last year twice. So they have a sense of what they're up against. But I think it's interesting that they're just kind of 2 practices this week and just focusing on getting better and not really thinking about who they're playing yet.
And I think that's exactly, as somebody's watched a million bowl preparations in his career, that's the way you have to do it. You have to go through the practice just like that. Then you start zeroing in on who you're playing. The other part is that when you do talk to the players, and I'll bet they told you the same thing, having a few days off probably did them a world of good physically and mentally. Is that fair?
Yeah, and I think the mental part is really underrated. Obviously, the physical stuff, you keep them off. You're off your feet for a few days, and then they'll be off players will be off till Wednesday unless they play Saturday. They'll be off till Tuesday. Right. But the mental side of it is so important because they've been going strong since end of July. So being able to get away from the building, maybe just lift a little bit, get off your feet, and this weekend just kind of watch football and stay home. There's a lot of value to it. It's like anything else. If you do something every day, it's easy to get burned out. So I think it's that freshening aspect and sharpening is really important.
Yeah, that's really well put. Well put. Does the playoff experience allow? I know it was one game and it was not a good game. That's fine. But does that enter into the fact that at least guys know what to expect with the playoffs, even though there's some guys on this team that weren't on that team last year?
Yeah, and I think the big thing is having guys. Some car almost hit me. This guy's 100 years old, and he just pulled out in front of me.
You got to be kidding me. Really? Jeez. Oh, man. Oh.
He just missed me by like 6 inches. Yeah, I think the big thing is that you mentioned Lane Johnson, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, Jason Kelsey, Isaac Seumalo, the kicker Jake Elliott. They all won a Super Bowl, and they're all still part of this team. And that's such a good resource when you have guys who've been to the top of the mountain, know what it takes. And I think the younger guys are always picking their brains about that. They know the routine. They know, everything kind of, to do. And I know the coaches have leaned on them too about it. And because Doug Peterson in 2017, they did everything right. The more resources like that you have, the better you are, and the more prepared you are. So this is a pretty playoff experienced team. Guys like Reddick's never been to the playoffs, and he was saying I never really think about that, but I've never played in the playoffs. But football's football, and it's not like I'm going to see anything I've never seen before. But
right, exactly.
It's a pretty seasoned team, pretty veteran team, and like you said, they're home. So I think they'll be. I don't think the moment will be too big for them.
No, it will not be. All right, now, piece of advice: watch out for the 100-year-old guy. Okay.
Man. I guess, I don't know if you have to, do you have to go, when you hit a certain age, do you have to start taking the driving test again?
I don't know. I don't think there is a law about that.
We'll have to work on that.
Yeah, you and I will talk about that, and we'll cite your example here. Okay? Rube, have a great and safe weekend, okay?
That sounds great. You too. Appreciate it.
Thanks, pal. Appreciate it. All right.